Your attention, please. And now, on with the show.
Coming to you from quarantined New York, it's Unger the Radar, starring Randy Unger. Brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing the new drama, The Tobacconist, and Hamilton on Disney Plus, with special guest critics Rachel Kolb and Nick Comando. And now, here's your host, Randy Unger.
Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another edition of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And with me tonight, I have Rachel Kolb. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
Good. And we have Nick Comando. He's back. Not the Arnold movie. Oh my
Hello,
God.
Randall.
Gets me every time. I hate that. So, guys, we're going to just start off with our pandemic picks, what we're watching right now, what's streaming, and what's in your Blu-ray player. And for me, I'm going strong with Albert Brooks' Filmography. I mean, I love this guy. He can do comedy, he can do drama. And it all started with The Scout a few weeks ago, and it's really just evolved into basically everything he's ever done. I think I might do Finding Nemo tonight. We'll see. But aside from that, also the works of John Landis. I'm very nostalgic, as you guys have noticed. And also the wonderful offerings of Cult Cafe, hosted and curated by our good friend to the show, Matt Roran. So last week he did Maniac Cop from the 80s, a really gritty horror film. It's ridiculous. It has Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell, and it's just a really fun movie. So yeah, I'm pretty busy with my movie watching, guys. How about you, Rachel? What are you watching?
So this past week, the big movie that I watched actually this past week was Palm Springs on Hulu.
I heard
the new offering from the Lonely Island guys.
Nice. And that's like a modern day Groundhog Day?
Yes. Basically Groundhog Day if someone else got looped into it with Bill Murray in the middle of the movie.
Nice. That would have completely changed it too.
Mm-hmm.
Had a partner in his adventure. So,
yeah.
Cool.
And there may or may not be another person also stuck in the time loop with them.
Oh, no spoilers. No spoilers.
Mm-hmm. It's excellent though. Highly recommend it.
That's Hulu, right?
Yes. That it was available. I think it went live just last Friday, I want to say, on Hulu. So, okay. Yeah, brand new release. It's good stuff.
See, personally, though, I'm not a huge Andy Samberg fan. I just haven't been
Why?
Right stuff. I don't know. I mean, should I check out Brooklyn Nine-Nine, guys?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we don't curse on this show, but yes, you should.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't even need to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine for Andy Samberg. Andre Braugher is the absolute total gem of the show because he plays such a meta straight man who's literally straight. Like, just all this ridiculousness is occurring around him. He never breaks, and it's phenomenal.
Well, not to mention so that he's technically a straight gay man.
Exactly. Yes, which was going to be my follow-up. I was going to be like, listen, he's also gay, but he's a straight man.
Yes. In
the other sense of the word.
But
it's a phenomenal show. I watched it when it first came out, and then I fell off, and then I started watching it again, and I started from the beginning, and I'm amazed that Fox ever canceled the show. I'm amazed at it. I don't get it. I don't know why you would do that. It's stupid. I can't wait to see what they do with the show with, all of the uprising and social justice and stuff. I can't wait to see how they handle that, because they handled the profiling aspect of it with Terry Cruz's character. Probably the best way I think I've ever seen it handled, and on a comedy show, no less. So
I would absolutely agree.
What network is that on?
It's on NBC, but you can also watch it on Hulu.
Okay.
Everything's on Hulu.
All right. Yeah. Apparently.
Yes.
All right. I got to get into my Andy Samberg filmography, TVography.
Yeah.
And Popstar's really good too.
Yes.
That's a very good movie too. That's a
I
very
was just
funny
about to
movie.
say. Yep. Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
They marketed it like a Justin Bieber spoof, and it's really not that at all.
Huh.
It's much funnier than that. There's much more behind it than that.
Mhm.
And that's another very good movie. The Bash Brothers album they released like I guess 6-7 months ago, where one of Andy Samberg was Jose Canseco, and I think Akiva Schaffer is the one who's Mark McGuire. It's a very funny album too. It's like rap and stuff, but it's great. And they did like a Lemonade video to go along with it on Netflix. It's like half an hour, and all the songs are in it. So yeah, you need to get on your Andy Samberg roll there, Randall. Jeez.
I just kind of get this Adam Sandler vibe, and not a good one. Just kind of.
I'm guessing you're getting that from the That's My Boy movie, which just don't even bother. Don't bother with that. Just skip on to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and you get a great ensemble cast with that too. I mean,
and you know what? His stuff on SNL never really impressed me either. So
really,
well,
yeah,
Sandberg's also a very good actor. You know, like in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he does do a lot of silly, over-the-top stuff, but there's also certain scenes where he can nail it down and actually act a little bit. And I don't think it's crazy to say that I think he might get nominated for an Oscar at some point.
Yeah.
I think he's got the chops to be able to do like the right role. I think he could really nail.
Yeah, I could see it also for writing too. You know,
Yeah,
if he ever decided to go the more dramatic route with it. So, yeah. Cool. I do have, sorry, there was one other movie I just wanted to make sure to shout out from Netflix from this past week. Disclosure on Netflix. Absolute must watch for anyone that cares about film. It is mandatory viewing in my mind at this point. With,
is it Laverne Cox?
Laverne Cox?
Yeah, Laverne. Yes. Yeah. She's great. I loved Orange is the New Black. She was phenomenal in that. Great. That's the first thing I ever saw her in. And that's just a great ensemble cast, I'd say. Nick, what are you watching these days?
I just finished my probably 7th or 8th rewatch of Breaking Bad. I finished season 5 of Better Call Saul, which was phenomenal. Best $20 I've spent the entire pandemic. Sarah and I just recently started watching Broadchurch. We found that on Netflix.
Yes.
Started watching that. That's heavy though. Like I can't watch a lot of stuff that's super serious that I've never watched before for the pandemic because depression. So, you know, it's like I don't need to, you know, you got the news. There's no sports. I need sports back, which come back next week. So I'm happy about that. But that'll probably be my next pandemic pick is I'm just watching all the baseball. So Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Broadchurch. I found this YouTube comedy group that I enjoy. I've been watching that. Looking at pictures of Randy when he sleeps.
Perfect.
That's been those are my pandemic picks. Randy when he sleeps is a very peaceful image.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Under the radar does not endorse anything said by Nick Comando.
How's the podcast doing?
I have it. I haven't really recorded anything.
Okay.
You would think, hey, pandemic, let's put some stuff in the can. Nope. Hasn't happened.
Well, maybe tonight will spark some inspiration for you.
Yeah, I'm just lazy. I'm going to do it, and then I'm like, I got to think of stuff.
Nice.
It's all just going to be ranting, and I just don't want to be negative.
Yeah, you have nothing to review, nothing to really talk about, right?
I have nothing nice to say. That's the problem. My news feed is just idiots that don't want to wear masks at Walmart, and you know, people with the stupid American flag with the blue line in it.
Yep. And Nick, if you need something to cheer you up, have you watched the marble races on YouTube?
The what?
The marble races. It's like as in marbles, like the toy marbles.
Okay.
Yes, they got featured on Last Week Tonight, but I'd actually gotten into them a few weeks before they got featured. But it's It's like NASCAR, but with marbles. It's
Oh, wow.
so good.
Heard of this?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So they have the Confederate flag too?
No. Marble braces knows better.
It's just like certain people, like who does it best? Like they do it at home, or is it like an actual organization that puts on?
It's an organization that puts this on. It is.
Is it like Pinewood Derby cars and Boy Scouts?
I mean, it's like that times 100. Like the production value on it is actually really well done.
Yeah.
I will definitely look into that. Thank you for the recommendation, Rachel.
Yep.
Yeah. Do they set like really epic sounding scores, like film music?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I kind of figured. Yeah, you'd have to do that for that.
Do they have like numbers on the marbles like they do on the cars?
They don't have numbers on them, but they are very specific colors, and they do a good job with actually running commentary throughout the races to keep in case you lose track of where your favorite marble is.
This sounds
2020 is pretty great, isn't it? You got a pandemic people think is not real, and you've got marble racing. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, where did this originate? I'm curious.
I think it started on YouTube. I think they've been doing it for a while, but it's really gotten very popular during the pandemic.
Did it start in like Sweden or Norway, and they put it on YouTube? Or
I think so. I think the channel. Yeah. I think that it was made in either Sweden or Norway. I'll have to double check, but
I knew it. It's probably called something really cool like Liechtenstein or something.
I would hope so. Awesome. Well, now I have marbles stuck in my head. I don't think I could review movies tonight, guys. No, I'm kidding. So the first film tonight, kind of a strange...
Speaking of Liechtenstein.
I really wish, Nick, maybe next week. So yeah, it's called The Tobacconist, and it's a smaller film. It takes place in Nazi-occupied Vienna, and it follows this young kid. He's 17 years old. He takes an apprenticeship at a cigar factory in Vienna, and he befriends one of the customers who just so happens to be Professor Sigmund Freud. And the 17-year-old and Dr. Freud strike up an unusual friendship as they both navigate life, primarily the 17-year-old who is smitten with this, I guess you'd call her...
He's smitten with anything that walks. Let's be realistic here.
Well, this girl...
He's a horny little German Austrian boy.
Yeah.
Especially for this girl. She's like a burlesque dancer. And basically, we follow this kid. He's not the most likable of characters, but we follow him anyway because we have no choice.
Not particularly interesting.
No. It's not a great movie.
Likes to sit in barrels in the water.
But you know what? And I'll tell you, the production design was pretty good. And I actually personally felt like I was transported back in time to Vienna during that time. And that's like my favorite aspect of this movie. And the performance by Bruno Ganz as Sigmund Freud was pretty damn good, as well as Johannes Krisch, who plays the tobacco store owner. Basically, the performances are what really, carry this film. And, it's not going to be on the list of top movies of the year, but it's a decent film nonetheless. And also, guys, it is in German, so you're going to have to do some reading.
I don't like watching no movies that got the subtitles at the bottom. I don't want to read and watch a movie at the same time.
And with that, Nick, what did you think?
Well, I do take exception to one thing you said, that he takes a job at a tobacco shop. His mom was just like, "You're going to do this." Yeah. I'm gonna go get banged by a bunch of men in the forest while you're in the water. Yeah. And you're gonna go work at a tobacco shop.
Right.
It was, as far as opening scenes go and sequences, it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Movie opens, he's underwater, he gets out, he starts sprinting to his house, passes by, his mom and his stepdad just laying it down.
No shame.
It's just like, hey, we're in a forest, nobody else lives here, let's have sex against the tree.
I couldn't quite tell exactly what their relationship was, actually, because I thought that maybe he was their landlord because he had the line about the rent.
Maybe I just assumed it was stepdad. I don't know. Yeah. I might have jumped out on a limb there.
You're not my real electrocuted dad.
No. No spoilers here, guys. No spoilers. Here.
I did. Hey, Randy, that wasn't me. I didn't spoil it that time.
I'm surprised.
I didn't spoil it that time. Aren't you proud of me?
I am proud.
I don't really understand why this movie got made. Like, aside from the fact that it felt super timely to watch based on everything going on in our world, which it feels like every goddamn time I watch something now. Like, I started rewatching Breaking Bad. When I stopped mid watch. The episode I came back on was when Hank beats up Jesse and he won't lie about what he did to Jesse to keep his job. And it was like, well, and then like it was like a day after George Floyd got killed. It was like, holy shit. Sorry, this is really timely. That's what this movie felt like, because you've got like this rise in hate groups and prejudice and, you know, anti-Semitism in the last few days that is kind of come to the forefront with what, you know, Deshaun Jackson did and all that. But aside from that, I don't understand what the point of this movie was. I don't get it. Like, I think there's enough horny kid comes of age story. I feel like there's enough of those. I don't really see what the end game was. I didn't feel inspired afterward. I didn't feel anything after the movie. I didn't even feel entertained. It wasn't.
I mean, it was sort of political. It wasn't that artistic. I mean, aside from the visuals, I thought the production design.
It was very basic. It was very basic. The guy who runs the shop with him was anti-Nazi, and the guy next door, the butcher, was pro-Nazi.
Right.
And I mean, that was really, you know, that just kind of felt like it was just like the kid was watching. Oh, people have garbage opinions, and they could live next door. Like, welcome to 2020 on Facebook.
This movie could have gone in a lot of different directions, but the main direction it stuck with was the relationship between the kid and Freud.
Yeah.
And I think if they focused a little bit more on the script, I don't know, and it could have been a really like quirky, funny movie, but instead of this kind of confused genre piece that doesn't really know what tone it wants to strike. And
I enjoyed the little, like, the scenes within the scene where he's imagining what he wants to do to the person. Because I have that. That happens to me every single time I'm upset about something. And I never do what I envision in my head, because what I envision in my head doesn't happen. I did enjoy that because that's very relatable, because it's like, oh, the guy I built a relationship died. You didn't like him because of his beliefs. I'm gonna stick your hand in a meat grinder because you're a piece of garbage. You know, that's relatable. It's like the rage is there, but you're not going to act on it. I did like that. There were elements of it that I thought were relatable and nice like that, but overall it was just, well, what are we doing?
Right.
Like you're in a traffic circle and you just keep going around in the circle. Nobody's telling you where to make the turn.
Yeah. I think that, to advocate for the movie for a second, what you said, Nick, about the dream, like basically the dream sequences that he's imagining what he wants to do in that moment. He wants to stick the guy's hand in the meat grinder. He wants to beat up the Nazi guy and be like, where is he? Where is, where's Otto, etc. And I think that it's a response to people that go, well, if I lived back in that time, I would be the one to stand up, or I would be the one to do the right thing, or to, like, call it for what it is. But more often than not, we're more like that kid that we think, 100%. And we're like, well, I think this is terrible, but we don't actually take any action, and the people around us just die.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what's going on today, where silence is being complicit. Some people just on social media, they don't really want to, take a stand one way or the other and show their beliefs and deal with everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
When at the end of the day, it's really not so much about you specifically. It's really about the greater good and the whole, as opposed to the part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It just felt it just felt super timely to watch this and for you to pick it. It was just like, Randy's doing something here with these movies.
Not at all. I just came across this film.
I did enjoy listening to German.
Yeah.
That was fun to me because other languages are very, like, I took Italian in high school and a little bit in college. I can't say anything in Italian. You put me in an Italian restaurant, I'll tell you how to pronounce the food. That I know how to do. Nothing else. And I am Italian. My grandfather was from Sicily, like spoke Italian, the whole deal.
Nice.
And listening to another language to me was really cool, and just like reading the subtitles and then listening to like the harshness of how the words come out was also like, I guess in a borderline ignorant way, it was amusing to me because they're like, oh, I want a sandwich, but the way they're saying it in German, it's like if you listen to it in German, it sounds like they want to kill you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love these shoes you bought me, but when in German, it doesn't sound like they like anything.
Yeah.
So that was cool for me. I did enjoy that because I don't watch a lot of foreign language films. I want to try and do more of that.
Yeah.
Rachel, how are you with foreign films? Do you prefer them? Do you not like them?
I mean, it entirely depends. There's a lot of foreign directors that I absolutely adore. I mean, I would be happy to see a lot more foreign films winning for Best Picture as they did last year. Like the director of Parasite has long been a favorite director of mine. You know, I think I'm trying to think who else. Del Toro, of course, has always been a favorite of mine as well. You know, I just think that there's so many amazing viewpoints out there in the world and types of stories that can be told. And I know that a lot of screenwriters like to claim that there's only 6 stories to tell. And it's like, well, nah, maybe that's just all the 6 stories that we've heard so far from our corner of the world. But it's a huge world out there.
Indeed. So guys, The Tobacconist, see it or skip it. What do you think, Nick?
I don't really, if you want to kill 2 hours waiting for a train or something, yeah, put it on. You don't really have to watch too intently. You can kind of space out and kind of understand where everything is. But it felt inconsequential. Yeah.
And it's a shame, too, because this is by Kino Lorber. They usually put out some really great films. The last decent one was actually a remastered version of a 1982 film called The Gray Fox. And that was just beautifully shot in, I think, Oregon. And it's like kind of like a Western. It's like a crime drama with this romance in it. And the lead actor is Richard Farnsworth.
Yes.
Rachel, did we review that together? Or?
We did not review it together, okay. But when I watched the episode, I got very excited because I love Richard Farnsworth.
He's amazing.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's done so much, and I think he was nominated in the 90s for something.
For The Straight Story, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But The Gray Fox, this movie, even though it's from 1982, it blew me away. And if I could add it to my list of top films of this year, I would. Maybe I still will. We'll see. But yeah, Kino Lorber did that film. They did this film. They do a lot of artsy films, a lot of foreign stuff, documentaries and stuff of that nature. But that's why I'm a little disappointed with this one, the Tobacconist, because I had a lot of high expectations for it due to the company that backed it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and it's not a stellar film, but it's a decent. I don't know. Is it 2 hours? I think it's a little under 2 hours.
But yeah, just a little under 2 hours. I think it's like an hour and 50 minutes with the credits.
I get the runtime was pretty solid. Like that was perfect. But and the performances were decent too. Yeah, but again, production design, 5 stars for me. So what is it on your list of stuff to recommend, Rachel? What do you think?
So it's a little bit complicated for me. I would say check it out. I think that it might speak to some people in this time, like what Nick was saying before, particularly because over the past few months, I've been having extremely vivid dreams, much like the protagonist in this. So I felt like that part of the story really spoke to me.
Okay.
I will say I was a little disappointed with maybe the portrayal of the women in it. I think that if they wanted to do a more interesting take on the material, they might have put it from one of their perspectives.
Okay.
It's like the mother, clearly someone that is disadvantaged and, is working in this house, has this guy that is, constantly groping her and stuff. I mean, that's, that could have made for an interesting story. Or, the girl that he was, pursuing.
Yeah.
I mean, a story of a sex worker in Austria right before the Nazis invade. That's good stuff. That would be really interesting.
But you know what? I think I'm kind of on the same page with you as the women not being portrayed in their best light.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were kind of just objects.
Right, like kind of broken and abused and really not fleshed out. They had like very brief scenes. If they incorporated the female element more throughout the story, I think it might have been a more fleshed out film. So.
Yeah, I felt like the way it was framed was a bit judgmental too, towards them and towards their decisions, which honestly for them, a lot of them are, as they said, undocumented, and they're just doing what they can to survive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the love interest lives in a dilapidated apartment building. Is like pretty much condemned. They're like, people living in there,
You think maybe it was just it was trying to be like indicative of the times?
I guess.
Like women really weren't, I mean, for the most part, to be honest, they haven't really been treated 100% equally as men for a long time. I can only imagine that was probably exacerbated in 1930s, 1940s, Austria, where, a lot of, America too, a lot of European households and American households, the woman is seen as somebody who's supposed to be the homemaker, dinner's on the table by this time, take care of the kids, pop out babies when I say so, and, just do what we ask you to do and be objects of whatever our desires are at the time. If I want a sandwich, you bring me a sandwich. If I want sex, you get naked right there. Yeah. So maybe, and again, you still should do better. I mean, there's still a story to tell there with the women in this movie.
And I think that you can be true to that historically.
Yeah.
Still create characters that are compelling. And I mean, literally the fact that one of the last scenes with one of the characters that she's shacking up with the Nazi, and that it's like that's the last we see of her.
It's the ultimate self-preservation. It's just so like she's just like, I'm not going anywhere. It's self-preservation in the highest regard.
And totally unlikable, I must say. And I also want to say that this is actually based on an international bestseller. So
I read that. It's based on a book.
I'm curious to see what the book is like compared to the film. So we'll see. Maybe I'll check it out in the future. But it's Rachel. I don't know if I got a final answer.
I would give it a light recommend.
Okay.
I would say if it intrigues you at all, if the premise intrigues you at all, check it out.
Right. Okay. And you know what? There's a lot of good elements here. I love the tobacco culture, the smoking culture stuff. I think if they fleshed that part out, could have focused like on the aromas and the sight and the paper of every, like stuff like that. Make it sort of like a chef type of movie for cigars, but we didn't get that here. But
there were some nice lines describing the cigars when he brought them to Freud, but that was really the only time I ever heard it.
Right. I wanted more of that. Like that was awesome, and just to, but
because when I smoke a cigar, I'm just like, yeah, it's a cigar.
Yeah.
I don't get elegance.
You don't get the nuance, the subtle.
No, I just like the way they smell. I don't know anything else. I just know I like it.
There you go. That's a good commercial marketing material. I don't know.
Oh yeah, put me in a cigar shop.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think of the 2004 Rocky Stevenson? I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah. And that same goes for this movie. I kind of like it. So yeah, guys, see it if you're curious. Again, Bruno Ganz, he plays Sigmund Freud. He's great. So if anything, just check it out for his performance. Oh, and also, guys, I mentioned Kino Lorber has distributed the film through their Kino Marquee, and that is currently out in virtual cinemas. So check that out if you so desire. And I think we're going to take a short commercial break right now, but we'll be back with our second film review of the evening right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Randy Unger, and this is Under the Radar. And we are going to review our second film of the evening. It is the huge hit Hamilton. Disney Plus has filmed a Broadway production, and released that footage, that video, to their lovely app, so everyone can see it during the COVID age. And Hamilton, I mean, what can you say? It's a modern day work of art. It tells the story of statesman and founding father of our country, Alexander Hamilton. It's created and stars. It's written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It infuses hip hop, R&B, and rap in their lyrics and music, and it basically tries to tell a piece of American history through song, through modern song, so that modern audiences can appreciate this phenomenal point in our history, in our country's history. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's a great play, it's a great musical, and now you can see it at home, which is amazing, thanks to Disney Plus. You know, over the years, it came out I think 2014. And I've heard it's great. You know, I've seen snippets here and there. I've listened to the soundtrack, but to actually see the visuals intermingling with the music, it's really special. And it's I can see what all the buzz is about, what all the hype's about. So I just wanted to go around with you guys. Rachel, I know you're big on Broadway.
Yes.
What was it like seeing the filmed play on TV for you?
So seeing the filmed production was really wonderful. I have had the opportunity to see it live on stage.
Cool.
However, when I did see it, I was sitting in one of the side boxes directly off of the stage. So part of the left side of the stage was slightly obscured. So there were actually a few elements in the second act that I had not seen when I saw it live that I was able to see in the filmed recording of it.
Huh. Was that one of the performances? Was that where you were at? Did they record?
No.
Okay, not
no.
yet.
I saw the show after most of the original cast had left. It was still an absolutely amazing cast that I had the chance to see. But for this one, for the filmed production, it's almost the entire original cast that they filmed, with the exception of, I believe it's Betsy Struckness and one of the other ensemble members. So the only two that were not in this particular recording. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have been throwing out there that's the entire original cast, and that's not exactly accurate. So just wanted to clarify that. Mm-hmm. It's such a delight for people that love rap, hip hop, but also love musical theater and know how much of a musical theater nerd Lin-Manuel Miranda is, and how he's integrated so many things that he loves about both of these elements into the show. Everything from putting in like the turntable, which is a callback to, he has a great love for Les Miserables, and it works very well in the story as it is. When you see the stage show, into the lyrics, things like references to 1776, to Camelot. I mean, there is just a whole wide array of Broadway musical references in this show that also call back to like the Founding Fathers, for example, 1776, about the writing of the Declaration of Independence. But I think the thing that's really incredible about the way that they filmed this is that there hasn't been another stage musical filmed in this fashion. They actually filmed it over 2 live performances, and then they did another additional day of pickups so that they could do a lot of those close-up shots that you saw where the camera would have to be on stage.
Okay. So that's not a typical, well, this is a huge musical. Like they're not sparing any expenses here. So yeah. Is this the first time that they've done that? Multiple performances and filming that?
Well, I know that they have done it for some other shows, but not on the same scale.
Okay. Yeah.
For example, PBS and their Great Performances series has done a lot of these multi-camera filmed productions, but certainly not with the same budget that this one did.
It's crazy. Thank you for that backstory. That's a great little history there. Nick, you're in the shadows. What did you think? What did you think of the filmed Hamilton?
Okay, so I'm going to preface everything I say with this.
Uh-oh.
I did really like it.
Good.
I don't understand what the hype around it was. I can't tell you there was a part of it I disliked. I kind of thought you could have taken about 40 minutes out of it and it would have been just as good. It felt really long. Yeah. And that part where they did the intermission, that was stupid.
It was a 1-minute intermission.
That was so stupid. It was incredibly unnecessary.
Yeah.
But, intermission, 59, 58, 50.
I'm with you on that one.
Disney Plus, you can pause. Sarah, I watched it with Sarah because she insisted on watching it with me because she already saw it.
Yeah.
And I look at her, I'm like, why is that there? She's like, well, what if you have to go to the bathroom? I'm like, it's Disney Plus, you pause it. So that part bothered me.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of musicals where they sing the whole time. I feel like musicals can have dialogue and be just as good.
Right. Like a Disney movie.
Personal preference, that's just me. I'm just saying. It's not...
I take it you're not a big Sondheim person?
I would say no. Who's that?
That would be... You would know it for Sweeney Todd, for West Side Story.
I actually loved Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd's amazing.
I don't remember them singing the whole time in Sweeney Todd, though.
Almost the entire thing is sung.
Yeah, that I don't remember that part. But here's my thing. Even if there's like 2 parts where it's just dialogue, that probably would satisfy me. Because to me,
you'll never be satisfied.
What's that?
I said you'll never be satisfied.
Exactly. Like to me, it's, and maybe it's just me with like a short attention span or whatever my own personal thing is. For me, it's hard to follow when they're singing the whole time because I don't catch every lyric. Mm-hmm. So I'll get hung up trying to understand what they were singing about. And by the end of the song, I'm like, but what was that part of the beginning that sounded like tuna sandwich?
Okay. No. See, I totally understand this because before I saw the stage show, I had been listening to the soundtrack for a year solid.
Okay.
So I didn't have to go in thinking about what's the next lyric next, and I got to just enjoy and take it all in. So I feel like it's a much more enjoyable experience if you, like, I would say, try giving it another shot. Clearly you think that it's too long, but I would say that especially lyrically, I think that it's one that opens up and reveals new things every time you come back to it.
Yeah, and again, I want to be clear. I didn't dislike. I enjoyed it. At the end of it, I looked at my fiance and I was like, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, maybe it's just me. I'm very comfortable with just dumping this all on. I'm a flawed person. I just didn't like the way that this musical was discussed and hyped and pushed, and everybody had the playbill on their Instagrams and their Twitters and all that stuff. At the end of it, I was like, okay, they took. They made a really racially inclusive cast, which I thought was phenomenal. I didn't realize they did that either. Because the dumbest thing I said the whole time, I looked at my fiance, I was like, Aaron Burr was white. And Sarah goes, well, so is Hamilton. I'm like, no, Hamilton was from the Caribbean.
Right.
So Lin-Manuel Miranda is actually really good casting because Hamilton wasn't fully white.
Right, Lin-Manuel.
And
he's Puerto Rican, I think.
Puerto Rican, yeah. And again, I'm not criticizing that. I thought it was cool that they did like the whole multiracial thing. I thought that was phenomenal. And I mean, my God, the singing was amazing. The performance, George Washington, like, if that's how you sing with wooden teeth, sign me up.
Yep.
Get me some wooden teeth, Jesus.
I'll tell you another one criticism I did have is I actually wanted more history. I wanted to be educated. You know,
that was the next thing I was going to get to.
I didn't really get that. I just got song and dance. It was nice. It was pretty and it sounded good, but I didn't really know much. I wanted to learn more.
I don't like being that guy who's like, well, actually, but like I've been listening to this podcast for a while called American Elections Wiki Game, where they go through every election since Washington became president. The way that I didn't really know a ton about Hamilton, and then I listened to this podcast and I kind of did a little bit of reading on him. For the most part, he was effectively a lobbyist before they had lobbyists.
Yeah.
Because he was very much a backdoor dealing guy who pulled strings, and he was very much in favor of getting Washington as the first president, even though Washington didn't really want to do it. And then he was very integral in the, for lack of a better term, manipulation of the media to try and writing anonymous essays in the papers all over the country to get the public to favor George Washington. Now, what he did as Treasury Secretary, I'm not criticizing at all, because from everything I've read and seen and from what I know, he was a very good Treasury Secretary and turned the economy around, and that's fantastic. But it kind of felt like you were glorifying a guy who, like, yeah, okay, he was the guy from the Caribbean, didn't grow up in any type of, significance, and he became a power player in the early stages of American government. But he was kind of a stereotypical politician.
Yeah. And I definitely don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
And there are certainly a lot of things historically that are not accurate in the show. For example, the fact that Hamilton actually facilitated slave trade for his father-in-law and for his father-in-law's family, which the show
never really took a stance on slavery his entire lifetime.
Yeah. I think that the better way to look at the show, I think that if you are going in expecting total, complete history with it, I think that will leave you a bit disappointed, especially if you know too much about the real life characters. But I think that if you look at it more, and this comes back to the casting of the show as being a multiracial cast, as if you look at it as a fairy tale of America,
right?
I think that it is much more powerful, because the notion of starting from the bottom, working your way up, the idea that anyone can make it in this country was a fairy tale from the beginning, because it certainly wasn't the case and isn't the case now either.
Yeah, and that whole fairy tale idea, it's a good thing it's on Disney Plus.
I saw a headline, I think it was BuzzFeed or one of those sites, and the headline basically was Hamilton is fanfic. And I was like, there was another part of it, because I think that was like trying to go against the people like me that are like, well, it wasn't 100% historically accurate. And it was like, Hamilton is fanfic, like white people need to accept that, or whatever the rest of the headline was. And I was like, after watching, I was like, yeah, this is like, if I have a 5 or 6 year old son or daughter, somebody who's young, hasn't been jaded yet, any of that, I bring them to this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at them after the show, and I'm like, you see all those people up on that stage? That could be you one day. And there's an inspirational quality to that is very feel good. The line where they said, "Immigrants, we get the job done." It was like, I don't even know how Mike Pence set foot in that theater. Like, I'm amazed that anybody from our current administration decided to even think about seeing that film. You would think they would have gotten like, oh, well, they make some poignant political statements, throughout the show. And it was just, when they said that, I was like, that's phenomenal. And then like rap battles, like Hamilton and Jefferson rap battling about
you don't have any debts because you don't pay for labor.
Right, exactly. Like, that was phenomenal. They're like, that's what I want. I want Mitch McConnell to go out in front of the media, and I want him to do a rap diss to Nancy Pelosi. That's what I want.
I tell you what, I do not want that.
I want to watch Mitch McConnell and his turtle face try to rap. I want to see that. That's what I want to see, because it would be horrible. I just want to see him fail.
We all do.
Yep.
But
the other thing that I really enjoyed about it is, sorry, Randy, I kept pointing out people that were in the Apple TV show Central Park.
Yes, yeah.
Leslie Odom Jr.'s in it. Daveed Diggs is in it. I think those are the only two people I was thinking about.
Nick, I'm going to go back to what you said.
Yes.
Bringing kid. I wouldn't bring a kid to this, to be honest, because they'd fall asleep halfway through. But that's just me. And,
well, you definitely hop your kid up on some sugar to keep them awake before you go in.
I think it's entirely an age thing. Yeah, I could see like I could see maybe like preteens, teens getting into this show.
Yeah. But like the inspirational aspect of it, where those people, they could have been anybody. They just happened to be white people because we ruin everything. And it's just really, to me, it would be inspiring, because and honestly, there's definitely an inspirational factor to Hamilton as a person, because back then it couldn't have been easy to be somebody who John Adams called a Creole bastard, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Like, imagine that. Like, you're basically the only person of color with any type of significance in that government, surrounded by men that grew up in the army, grew up in privilege, basically were probably super racist, and you somehow were able to get through to them with your ideas. I mean, that's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I was curious for the both of you, since I don't think either one of you are big musical people. Were there any performances that really stood out for the two of you?
I love
George Washington.
Yeah, the actor who played George Washington.
Wow.
Christopher Jackson. Oh,
yes.
And at the end of it, like, he's sobbing. Like, that didn't feel like a character. That felt real. That felt like he was just like, I just freaking killed it, and I can't control my emotions.
Yeah.
Was,
Christopher Jackson actually has a long working relationship with Lin-Manuel Miranda. He was in Lin's first extremely successful show, In the Heights. He's one of the main characters in that, and he's actually going to be making an appearance in the movie of In the Heights, which has been pushed to next year, unfortunately.
And what is the premise of that? I don't really know the story.
So the premise of In the Heights is, when you first look at it, it looks like it's going to be a story about, in order to make it, I need to get out of my neighborhood, or I need to, need to get into a different, like, kind of like wider space, if that makes sense. But it ultimately ends up coming around to like having a true love for where you come from, and wanting to stay there, and wanting to be a part of that community, and knowing that you have worth in that. There's a number of storylines going on. One of them's about basically the golden daughter of the community that went off to Stanford and unfortunately lost her scholarship, and she's thinking that now she's going to have to drop out of school, and her dad isn't going to be able to afford for her tuition without the scholarship, and he's considering selling his business in order to help her finish getting through school. There's a lot of storylines about like as far as immigration. that the parents or grandparents came here from another country and are wanting to see their children do better than they did, and to see them thrive where perhaps they had to really work and struggle.
And now that's going to be an actual movie, not a...
Yes. Yep. It's directed by the director of Crazy Rich Asians.
Right.
Doing that.
So visually it's going to be...
Miranda's like producing or something, right? I'm assuming?
Yep, and he's also showing up as... There's a recurring character in the musical who's selling the shaved ice, which if you've been up to Washington Heights, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he's basically the guy on the street selling shaved ice. But yeah, there's actually quite a few people from the original Broadway cast of In the Heights that have kept working with Lin and were in the cast of Hamilton, both the original Broadway cast and then also in the cast that I saw as well.
And now, Rachel, is that going to be in the same format? Is it just singing all the way through?
No, this one definitely has a lot of larger speaking segments in it.
See, that's how Hamilton should have been. Nick, you raise a great point about them singing the whole time, and it just is. There's no flow. It's just like one note. They're just singing. You can't really focus on what the hell they're actually saying.
Well, the thing that kind of adds to my aggravation of that is I looked at Sarah during the film, who's not here, by the way. I looked at her and I was like, are they going to sing the whole time? She's like, it's a musical. I'm like, you can have dialogue in a musical, Sarah. And then one of my other friends I was texting during watching it, and I'm watching Hamilton. He's like, I said, they're singing the whole time. He's like, well, it's a musical. I'm like, what is it? Am I taking crazy pills? Am I the only person that knows you can have dialogue in a musical and it's still a musical?
Sorry, my dog just started barking.
Did I incite your dog?
It's okay. Sorry.
I'm very intimidated by your dog.
He's like, I have feelings about Hamilton, and I will have them heard.
Nick, you're wrong. You have to sing the whole time to be a musical. You dumb two-legged moron.
To give a little bit of context also, as far as why I think he chose to have the whole show sung, as opposed to In the Heights, which has song, dialogue scene, is I feel like they are also reflections of shows that were very important to him when he was coming up in theater, which I feel like In the Heights is almost kind of his interpretation of something like Rent, whereas Hamilton is much more a reflection of Les Miserables.
Right. Cool. Yeah, and I mean, again, it's a personal thing for me, and he's Lin-Manuel freaking Miranda. He doesn't need to explain anything to us. He can make a play where the whole cast walks up, they're in a line, they turn, their butts are facing the audience, they all bend over and just fart rhythmically. And that'd be the play. And he wouldn't have to explain that to us. It would probably be terrible and smell bad, but he could do it. And it's not like I'm going to go up to Lin-Manuel Miranda if I ever meet him and go, why'd you guys sing the whole time in Hamilton? I don't get it. Like, I'm really good. Like, that's how you get a restraining order. Like, that's how I become a male Karen.
Yeah. But Rachel, Miranda's career, is it primarily musicals? Has he ventured into other art forms?
Well, right now he's working with Disney quite a bit.
Okay.
He did the remake of Mary Poppins.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he acted in it. He didn't write the music for it, just to be clear. He didn't write the music for Mary Poppins Returns, but he did play the lamplighter in Mary Poppins Returns.
Was that a good movie, by the way? I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, Rachel. Was it any good?
I enjoyed it. I think that I went to go see it with my mom in the theater, and we had like a big bucket of popcorn, and we just had like a blast. Like, it was so much fun.
That's a movie you definitely go see with your mom for sure.
Yeah. And I think especially if you watch the original movie before it, you'll see the ways that they're paying tribute to it in the structure of it, because I think structurally they're both very similar. And I think the music is better than a lot of people give it credit.
Was that Mark Shaman?
Yes. Yeah, that was Mark Shaman.
I love City Slickers. Great score.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I really wanted to happen at the end of Hamilton?
What?
I wanted it to fade to black, and then the words, "This performance was filmed the day Mike Pence came to see Hamilton."
But see,
I don't know why. I would have laughed so hard if they did that.
I would have been mad because I'm like, then you cut the speech that they gave to him at curtain call, because that's like one of the best stories from that era of theater, when the cast actually confronted him during the curtain call.
And again, it goes back. Why would you go to that if you're in his administration? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like a precursor to how dumb and tone deaf this administration was going to be.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm Mike Pence. I'm going to go and see Hamilton. It should be a fun historical musical.
Yes.
And then he goes, it's like, nope, we don't want you here.
And Randy, just to follow up on your question about what else he's been up to, he also did this really great mini musical for This American Life called 21 Jump Street.
Okay.
And it's based on one of their real life stories about this kid who was tricked into it by an undercover cop into acquiring drugs for her so that she would go to the prom with him.
Wow.
It's really, really good. And it's really short. It's only like, I think maybe 30 minutes long, but they did it for like a special event thing. And I know that it's available, I think, on iTunes and I want to say Amazon.
Is there a correlation between that and the Johnny Depp show?
Aside from, I mean, of course, the reference to an undercover cop in the high school, but and the fact that the kid feels like a chump because it's 21 Jump Street.
I enjoy those. I enjoy those movies.
Yeah.
So,
and
right.
and lastly, what he's working on right now, he did the Moana soundtrack for Disney, and he is going to be he's writing music for the Little Mermaid remake.
The voice of Sebastian, like I kind of see that happening.
I would be on board with it. He literally named his son Sebastian after,
of course,
Little Mermaid, because it's like his favorite movie.
Nice. So great. Nick, are you going to be going to any musicals after the pandemic's over?
I don't have a problem with musicals. I thoroughly enjoy The Producers. I could sing half that soundtrack right off the top of my head, 100%. Sweeney Todd, I think, is phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoy that as well. I think that's one of I greatly enjoy Alan Rickman in that one and Johnny Depp. I mean, I probably at some point will download the Hamilton soundtrack. I like show tunes. They are good. I've never seen a Broadway show. So, you know, the closest I got was like an off-Broadway version of Avenue Q.
Oh, Avenue Q is awesome. It's a great show.
Like but yeah, no, I'm very open-minded with that stuff. I saw the Les Miserables movie and I was like, why are they singing the whole time? Mm-hmm. But that's my complaint. Anytime they do anything but sing whole movie.
I've noticed you're not a fan of singing.
To me, the songs should accentuate the scene and the situation. When it's like what you said, Randy, it's one note. Mm-hmm. When you're singing the whole time, to me, it takes away the dramatic that thing, that element of like, ooh, a song's coming. A song's like in The Producers when Bialystok is going to collect the money from all of his elderly backers who he does sexual favors with, and he's singing, Along Came Bialy to drive home the whole like, listen, these women ain't getting any, and I'm desperate. So, it adds an element to the story that wouldn't normally be there. Mm-hmm. And to me, if you're going to sing the whole time, you're kind of like, I don't want to say trying too hard, but you're just trying to really drive something home that I think less is more in that situation.
And plus, they're damaging their vocal cords. I mean, to sing for like 2 hours straight, it's
and I mean, none of them are doing the the talk singing. They're singing. They're belting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. George Washington's got pipes. George Washington is not talking for the next 3 days after that performance.
Like Daveed Diggs, that he does that. Like they did that 8 times a week is insane to me.
Yeah. I kept thinking that to myself. I'm like, my God, they did this like 6 times on a weekend.
Yeah.
How did they do that? Mm-hmm. How did they not die halfway through a performance? Mm-hmm. I guess that's what it's like to be in shape, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
the vocal, that's an instrument. It has to be finely tuned. They have to rest them, and it's really an instrument.
Steve Perry in Journey wouldn't talk like days after performances to try and protect his voice. I can only imagine what a Broadway actor does on something like Hamilton, where they're doing, like we said, 8 performances a week.
Yeah. I will say that for a lot of the principal actors, they do have understudies or standbys. I do know that Lin, for example, during the height of the run, during really the bulk of the Broadway run, he had Javi, who was his understudy, who would do at least one matinee on the weekends. So he would refer to, he would say, Sunday matinee, you get the sexy Hamilton.
Oh. Well, that's good. It's nice to hear that the understudy actually gets to do stuff, as opposed to every sitcom we've ever watched that had a theater angle where the understudy's like, I'm going to break the lead's leg and then I'll take over the performance.
See, that's a good idea for a movie. The understudy. And yeah, just an idea.
Yeah, it's like I, Tanya, but without figure skating.
Exactly.
Or Noise is Off.
What?
Exactly.
A nose is off?
Yeah.
But for me, I'd say my best Broadway experience was probably Grease when I was in junior high.
Yeah, like Grease too. Grease is one I like. They don't sing the whole time in that one.
Yeah, and it has a really good soundtrack. The songs are very
Grease
fun.
Lightning.
Rachel, if you could say what your top Broadway experience is, or your favorite musical experience.
Oh goodness. So as far as some of my favorite musicals that I've seen, I still have a great adoration for Matilda the musical, which is also getting turned into a movie. Ralph Fiennes is going to be playing Trunchbull in it, which I cannot wait to see.
Wow. I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Mara Wilson, the voice of the faceless old woman who secretly lives in your home.
Oh, I love her. I know that there's no way she would come back to do it, but she's fantastic. So
she plays a character on a podcast I listen to called Welcome to Night Vale, named The Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home.
Yep.
I didn't realize that it was her. I looked her up on IMDb. I'm like, oh my God, Matilda's the faceless old woman who secretly lives in my home?
Oh, Mara Wilson?
Yeah, she also does
got
a lot of writing,
very
too.
distinct voice.
Mm-hmm.
She's usually at Comic-Con a lot, signing her books and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who else is in the cast for Matilda?
I don't think that they've announced anyone else. I think that's the only casting they've announced at this point.
Is Trunchbull going to be male, or is Ray Fiennes just going to cross-dress?
Well, in the stage musical, it was, at least in the Broadway run, it was always a man playing the role of Trunchbull.
Was Harvey Fierstein ever Trunchbull?
No.
Okay.
I will say he has never been Trunchbull. However, one of my favorite actors, Bertie Carvel, originated the role. Actually originated it in the UK on West End, and then brought it over to the US. And I think he would have been an amazing pick for it, but clearly they wanted to go with, I guess, a more well-known US name.
Now, Rachel,
It's ironic, because isn't Ray Fiennes British?
First there was the book, right?
That's true.
The Roald Dahl book, and then film, and then did the Broadway show come after that, or is that all?
Yes. Yeah, the Broadway show came after that, yeah.
I understand the evolution there.
Mm-hmm. And if I might give a shout out also, because I am wearing their shirt tonight, the Prom, which We're All Lesbians shirt is from...
We're all lesbians.
We're all lesbians. The Prom is going to be coming to Netflix actually this next year, which I have some feelings about the casting for it, but Ryan Murphy, to his credit, has been using his Netflix deal to bring some really different, sort of unusual stuff to the platform. And he went to go see The Prom on Broadway, absolutely loved it, and said, well, I got to make a movie adaptation of it. So
Cool. All right. Well, guys, I think it's about that time. I just want to go around and do some plugs. Nick?
Come on. Let's talk more about Hamilton.
About cross-dressing Trunchbull?
Talk a couple more hours about Hamilton.
Yeah.
My goodness.
The whole night. I wish.
Top 5 musical podcasts. Go.
Nick, what's going on? Any plugs tonight?
Oh, I got a bunch around me, but that's more to keep everything electronic running. Yeah, Command the Mic anywhere you find podcasts. I have 2 episodes up with you, Randy, or maybe 3 now. I can't really remember how many we recorded.
Yeah.
I'll make more stuff at some point. Just listen and be patient and don't pressure me. I'm under stress.
Sorry. We look forward to hearing more of that. Command the Mic.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
At least someone is.
Rachel, any other plugs aside from We're All Lesbians?
Yes. Let's see. So personally, I have my website, ludusnyc.com, ludusnyc.com, where I have my theater writings. You can read, I've actually written about Matilda, the musical, on there. You can read up on there. You can also find me on Twitter at ludusnyc for my Broadway musings, and at Rachel E. Kolb is my more general account. And I'd just like to give a quick plug to the Kapowie Go-Go cast, which has done their first episode on YouTube via Zoom, and they're going to have a second episode coming up this Friday, which will be premiering live. And having seen what they did with the first episode, I have to say it is a must-see. I love the stage production of this, and I am loving what they're doing in this era of Zoom with keeping theater alive.
What exactly are they doing? Just real quick.
So Kapowie Go-Go is like your favorite anime, your favorite Saturday morning cartoon, like several seasons of it, but done on stage, or in this case, done via Zoom. It is a lot of fun. There's a lot of references to video games, to, as I've said, anime, Saturday morning cartoons. Just an incredibly talented cast. If you remember the stage show Puffs, which was a take on the Harry Potter franchise, this is from the same team.
And what's it called again? One more time.
Kapowie Go-Go.
Kapowie Go-Go. I like that.
Kapowie, like Kapowie Go-Go?
Kapowie Go-Go.
I'm going to look it up. That's cool. Cool. All right. And a little bit of a plug. Well, not really a plug, but a mention from our wonderful sponsor, Magnitude Jewelry. With orders of over $50, Magnitude offers free shipping, an N95 mask, and hand sanitizer. So just go to tudegirl.com. That's TUDE girl.com, and check out that very special offer. And guys, I just want to thank you for taking the time tonight during the pandemic, during whatever phase we're in right now. I want to wish you all, all the very best. Be healthy and safe with you and your families, Dobby especially.
Yes.
Is he awake? Is he still awake?
He is awake. Hi, buddy. Are you calming down?
Oh, Dobby.
Yes. Yes.
Wait,
You
his
can find
name is
him on
Dobby?
Instagram.
His name is Dobby?
Yes.
Like the house elf?
Yes. His Instagram
Oh, hide the
handle
socks.
is Dobby the House Doggo. On Instagram.
Awesome. Well, good night, Dobby. And guys, good night to you. Again, thank you so much. This was great. And I'll see you guys real soon. Nick, you can't hide from me. There you are. No. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Randy Unger, and this is Under the Radar. I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.